I'm going to get 100 times 12 times 20, $24,000 in value.
I'm in more debt right now because I cannot even get out of this.
When they start out sitting in my chair, they don't have money.
So then the risk of losing the rent it's already 100%.
Every single problem that you're going to come across in your life has a solution.
You build up this life, such a beautiful and amazing life, and now you're destroying all of that.
They're successful because they did something different.
It's all about the numbers. You have to know the numbers.
I didn't have any money. So now, what is it? It's just a problem.
Welcome to Escape the Matrix podcast with Ella Rivkin.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Escape the Matrix podcast. And I'm your host, Ella Rivkin. And this show is about breaking free from financial traps that keep people working endlessly, yet never truly free. Most people doing everything they were told, working hard, saving, contributing to retirement plans. But the system was never designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to keep you working hard and harder. Today's guest and I know firsthand, Ken and I both started in this traditional financial system. He is a CPA at Deloitte, and I am as a tax and accountant. Unfortunately, I'm still there until we discovered a different path to multifamily real estate. Ken is now a leading investor, mentor, and a coach who has raised millions and helped countless people to achieve true financial freedom through real estate. Please welcome my mentor, partner, and returning guest, Ken Gee.
Thanks so much, Ella. So glad to be here.
And I'm so excited that you actually came back to us. I know you're very busy. Your time is very valuable. So, Ken, you and I both believe that most people are trapped in this financial matrix, working hard, saving money, hoping it will be enough someday. And then we say that this is just, and we say this not just as investors ourselves, but as people who were once on the other side.
Yeah.
On that system, you worked very hard as a CPA at the Deloitte. I spent years and still spending as a tax and accountant, doing everything right according to the system. So why is real estate, specifically multifamily, one of the fastest and most reliable ways to escape that system and take control of your financial future? So can you please share with our viewers, why is the real estate?
Yeah, why real estate? So what happened to me like almost 30 years ago was my family was young. I did my daughter's third feeding at 3 a.m. And it was really cool back then until I realized exactly what you just described. I'm trapped. I did everything I was supposed to do. Went to school, got good grades, got a great job. And I realized that 3 a.m. was the best I could do for my new daughter. And that made me realize, wait a minute, that's not good. That means that my family's probably going to grow up without me, number one. Number two, I realized that I could walk into work the next day and have that meeting. You know that many of you know the meeting. That meeting is, hey, Ken, do you got a minute? I got to talk to you. Ken, it's been nice. You've been wonderful. But we've made a decision to go in a different direction, and we no longer need your services. And now your life just gets turned upside down. And the problem is you can never, ever see that coming. It's very possible. Happens all the time that happens to people. And then you realize, in addition to all that risk, that if you're not Mr. or Mrs. politically correct, like I'm not, you could be running around these organizations making people angry and you don't even know you made them angry, right?
Yeah.
So now you've got this thing working in the background that is limiting your career. They kind of, you're hoping and praying for a 3% raise. I mean, if you do the math, it's all these things stacked together. I mean, you're kind of, I view that as playing the lottery, right? Most people don't think of it that way, but I do. So I went to multifamily because of all of the different reasons. First of all, multifamily, I can't figure out how to make it go away. Like I can't, right? If you're going to do something, in my mind, it's not like I'm doing something super risky. I mean, everybody's heard of apartments. Most people have probably lived in one. So they're very familiar and I can't make it go away. And if it does go away, I don't know that you and I need to worry about money. Because if we don't need a place to live, that means we don't exist anymore, right? So I got this basic thing that I can't go away. Number two, I have lots of people paying me rent who probably work for lots of different employers, who probably work for lots of different industries. And think about that. The diversified rev. Now the CPA in me is coming out. The former banker in me is coming out. I've got this massively diversified revenue stream. That's the holy grail if you're going to run a business, right? You want to have revenue from lots of different sources. And we have that. And then let's just go down how you would manage a business. Most of the expenses in the multifamily world are pretty even. And when you go month to month to month, you can look across, they're pretty even. They're fairly predictable with some exceptions, right? Nothing's perfect. But what happens is as long as you get the management right, you have that income minus those expenses, there's going to be extra money left over. That goes in your pocket. Now, many people say, oh, it's cash flow, and it is, right? But here's the thing. That's really like a drip. I mean, you're not going to get rich off of your first multifamily investment where you're getting a little bit of cash flow. It's not that cash flow that matters. But here's why I'm in multifamily. This is the holy grail right here. When I take on a property and I know that I'm able to move income and make it generate more income, for every dollar of new income I can create, I get about, or plus or minus here, okay, about $20 in new value. Now that's crazy when you think about it. Think about if you're a stock investor or whatever, that's like a PE multiple. That's a very high PE multiple. So I know that if I can buy this property, raise someone's rent, say $100, how much did that cost me? Probably nothing. I mean, it doesn't cost me anything except a few electrons, right? When I emailed the new lease to them and they signed it. So that $100 falls all the way to the bottom line, which then when you 20x that, one unit, $100, if I 20x that, what happens? I'm going to get 100 times 12 times 20, $24,000 in value. Like that's, wow. Now do that over and over and over again. And now's the real wealth. This is where the money is in this game. So people say it's about the cash flow. It really is not where you get rich, but the cash flow drives this appreciation, which allows you to make obscene amounts of money. I mean, it is, I can't think of a different word. It is obscene. It's a lot of money. So in my example, I did that $24,000 to one unit. What if I did it to 100 units?
200 units, yeah.
Or let's just pick 800 times 100. That's $2.4 million I just made. Yeah. Like that's crazy money. That's why I do multifamily.
I love that. And, I love that you mentioned about the cash flow. As you mentioned, like a lot of the people, they not paying attention to that cash flow, or some do, and they saying, but that's so little. But I love how you just broke this down. But yes, it's only just from one apartment, but then you multiply this. If you have 100 apartments, if you have 200 apartments. And the most common I see, and you probably hear this very often, is this the most common way that we know and about the real estate is you buy the house, you buy the apartment, you own this, you have the title to that. And just because you own that, that's it. You think that you are an investor. So what is actually the difference between just owning that single unit, owning the asset in the house, or maybe even the commercial versus actually the multifamily?
Yeah, so let's talk about single family, because I actually went through this process very intentionally when I got into multifamily, like almost 30 years ago. I remember I was working at Deloitte at the time, like probably 80 hours a week, sitting in a cube, like CPAs do. That's what they do. People don't know that, but that's what happens. And I wanted to get into multifamily, or I wanted to get into real estate, right? So I'm like, okay, single family house. Okay, what will that work? Well, I would look at single family houses and I'm like, I don't know, man. There's people paying amounts for a single family house that has no relationship to profitability, right? And if I did find one that was priced right, maybe I got $100 out of it every month. Well, it doesn't take, let's say you did that for 3 years and then there goes the roof. You just lost all the money that you thought you made, right? So the single family house thing, that's the first thing that bothered me. I couldn't figure out how to value it. I couldn't figure out how to make it make money. Secondly, there's not enough money there for me to call the plumber, for me to hire a maintenance person, for me to hire a leasing person. So that meant I had to do all the work.
Yeah.
Well, that means I just bought a job. I already had a job. I don't want another one because you have a young family, you're working 80 hours. How much time do you think there is in a day, right?
Yeah.
So the single family thing, I just couldn't figure out how to make it work for so many different reasons. So then I thought, I got to run this thing like a business. That's the way I thought. I literally thought that way 30 years ago. And I said, all right, I need, it can't be so big that I can't afford it. So I found this 28 unit property. I'm like, okay, wait, this is perfect. Because now I got 28 people paying me rent. So if somebody or two people move out, it doesn't matter. Well, it does, but it's not going to sink me, right? That was the other thing I didn't mention about single family. If I am renting it out and they move out, now I got no income until I go there myself and do all the work to make it ready to rent again. So now I'm back at Deloitte and I need to be able to hire people. Well, now I have enough money. And I found this lady on my first deal. Her name was Joyce. She lived at the property. She worked part-time. I gave her free rent and a little bit of extra money. She took care of the leasing. She did some of the, changing light bulbs, stuff like that. She made sure that she coordinated all the maintenance. Suddenly now I could delegate and run it like a business. So my job was picking up the phone, right? Because I don't know if you all see my hand. There is no calluses here. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. I had to hire it out. So that thought process is literally what I went through a long time ago. Now it made sense, right? I'm like, oh, okay, now I can guide revenue. I can have people do the work for me, and then I get the benefits, right? So now I figured out how to work it out. So then I bought a 24, I bought a 22 unit, and then back then I didn't fully understand this value add concept, but I learned it. Sold them 3 years later, made $500,000, right? That proved my whole point, right? That proved everything. First of all, I could run it like a business. I could have somebody working for me. I could hire maintenance people to do the work. And when I increased value or increased income, it was worth more. I proved it all out in those first 3 years. And so that's how I ended up in multifamily. That's why I do it. When you compare it to single family, it's like 1 to 4 family. It's all the same. It's pretty much the same. When I look at commercial, see, I did look at that. I didn't want to leave that off the table here. I looked at commercial, but I thought, wait a minute. I go back to this thing about you need a place to live. Like commercial properties, small strip malls and things like that, they usually rent to small companies, and those companies come and go all day long. And typically when a space that is vacant, it's vacant for a while. And then you got to go fix it up for the next tenant. I'm like, that doesn't. See, now I felt really exposed to economic cycles.
Yeah.
Like if we were in a recession, there's a pretty good chance that commercial space might be struggling, right? So that's kind of what for me, it was about everything for me is about risk mitigation, right? Risk. I need a place to live. Seems fairly low risk. I got lots of people paying me rent. Seems fairly low risk. Fairly predictable expenses. Seems fairly low risk. You see how everything that about this multifamily really matched up with my risk aversion, right? I just don't want to lose money. So that's how I ended up there. That's how I kind of reasoned through all these different asset types and landed a multifamily.
Yeah. No, I love how you mentioned the risk mitigation. So because for myself, and this is what I discovered for myself, and I see business owners that I'm working with and the people, is that we're all thinking that if we buy this single unit, if we buy this house or commercial, okay, that there is no risk because we own it, because we thinking that the risk is that having more partners, it's risky. And then, you own the apartment, you own the house, so you own the whole title and there's no risk. But I actually love how you mentioned, because it's all about it's all about the calculation. Okay, yes, I bought the apartment, now I rent it out, but then what if the tenant moves out tomorrow? So then I'm losing 100% of my rent. So then the risk of losing the rent it's already 100%. And if it's you have 2 apartments. So then one of them moves out. So then it's a 50% loss. And I, in fact, I used to do all of that. I had apartments, the house, I did the flips, I foreclosure, Airbnb, even the commercial, as you mentioned. So, and then during COVID, what happened with my commercial building is that the tenants stopped paying. because of the COVID. And then I used to live in New York City. So New York City, they came up with the law back then that you don't have to pay. They just say you don't have to pay the rent. Okay, this is all good. But then for me, I as the owner of the building, I have to pay the mortgage. So like, what am I supposed to do? And the tenant, he just goes to me, you know what? Like, there's nothing you can do. You cannot even take me to court. And this is when I realized that the risk to own all this real estate property, because I was following this conventional wisdom, buy this asset, rent it out, and that's it. And I thought that I'm going to retire on that until I realized with COVID that I cannot even retire on that. Actually, I'm in more debt right now because I cannot even get out of this.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Yeah, oddly enough, during COVID, our apartments, for the most part, did better. And it's because now everybody was working from home and they needed their homes more than ever. The only apartments that struggled is if you were in a lower income neighborhood that was highly dependent on, like, say, Disney, right? I like diversification of revenue, but think about if you had a property located near Disney during COVID, you were in trouble. Because Disney had to shut down, right?
Yeah.
I think they were required to. And when they did, all those people didn't have jobs anymore. So it's not that they didn't want to work at home. They had no jobs. So those properties struggled. But again, this goes back to risk mitigation. Don't buy. You can mitigate this risk simply by not buying a property in an area where you're dependent on one employer or one
I
industry.
love that. Okay.
Right? Like, I worship the people, the men and women who are in the military and what they do for us, but I don't want to own a property next to a military base because if they all get deployed, there goes all my tenants and there's nothing you can do about it. And so now you're toast, right? So just, again, there's ways to mitigate all these risks once you understand what you're doing.
Yeah, I love that. So basically, so when you invest, so I assume like when you invest, and I know because you, as my mentor, you teach us all, is you have to look at the location and what's around this location. So I love that. Yeah. So let me ask you this. So in the beginning, you mentioned, and you and me, and I think the viewers, all of us, all of them can resonate with, with the system that was designed for us. Okay. And I know you mentioned even that you had your job at the Deloitte, you got good education, you became a CPA, right? Just like everyone tells you, okay, get a good education, right? Get a good job, secure job. And everyone is thinking that if they're getting this, especially like in the big 5 companies, so in the corporate world or government, okay, like these are all secure jobs. But I love how you mentioned that nothing is secure, right? Today you have the job, tomorrow is not. So, and let me ask you this. So why then do you think, and I know you as a coach as well as the real estate investor, and now that the person who was on the other side, so then why do you think that people know this, but what is holding them back from getting started? Is it, you think, money? Is it knowledge? Is it mindset? What do you think it is?
Yeah, it's a little bit of all of the above. So here's what I always tell people. Just about everyone, when they start out sitting in my chair, they don't have money. That's why they're sitting in that chair. If they had a lot of money, they would give it to people like me and say, can you go do all the work? Because I just want my money working for me, right? So people think you have to be wealthy to buy apartments. I'm here to tell you that I promise you, almost every person that starts out with multifamily, they don't have money. That's why they're working. That's why they're doing it, right? So that's the first thing. That most people use that as the mountain that they can't climb.
Yeah.
I don't have any money. There's no way I can do this. All right, that's number one. Number two, they don't have the knowledge they need, right? Here's what I know for a fact. Every single problem that you're going to come across in your life has a solution. These problems that you don't have any money, they have solutions too. So now this leads me to the third thing that you said, and it is truly mindset. It really is. I hate buzzwords like mindset, right? But here's what really happens. I'm going to lay this out for you. It'll take me a second. Just bear with me. We were, most people in the United States were brought up to fit in. Your parent, you think about this. You're in school, kids are cruel, you're in the playground. You don't want to be that person that is different because you're probably going to get picked on. You're probably going to get beat up. You're probably going to be called names. And you don't want to be that odd man out, right? You just don't. So you go to great lengths as you're growing up to fit in, right? What do most parents teach? And they're not trying to do anything to hurt you, but you need to fit in. You need to be socially accepted. You need to be like everybody else. Now, there's a reason I'm talking about this, because this is, in my opinion, what creates the mindset problem. Mm-hmm. Because now, let me ask you, people who are successful, are they just like everybody else? Probably not.
No.
They're successful because they did something different. Now think about this. They said, I want to be that odd man out. I want to be different than everybody else. But now, wait a minute. So now I did what I was told to do. Got a good job, right? Got a good education, got a good job. I did what everybody else is doing, right? That doesn't mean that I couldn't muddle through life, but it certainly didn't give me the life that I really wanted. So I had to make that change. The problem was your brain. I'm going to reference a gentleman named Dr. Bill Crawford. He's all over YouTube. He's a famous psychologist, really smart guy. He talks about change, and he talks about forging a path. I want you to imagine you're going to go through the cornfield, right? You're at one end of the cornfield. You're going to go through. There's no path. It's hard to get through that cornfield at first. You start, you could easily get disoriented. You don't know where you're going. You're constantly getting hit with corn stalks. Like, it's hard to get through it the first time. The second time, you can kind of see where you were, so it gets a little bit easier. Third time gets a little bit easier. Over time, what happens is it becomes a well-worn path. Okay? Yeah. Think about what's happening when we grew up and we were taught and trained, and I don't want to use the word indoctrinated, but we were taught. It was in our brain, fit in, go down that path that is well-worn. And now, suddenly, at whatever age you are at, I got to switch. I got to create a new path. Oh, my goodness. Oh, but this old path is just so easy. Let's just keep going down the old path, right? Even your family and your friends, when you're trying to make a change, will say, why can't you just be happy? You're doing well. Why can't blah, 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 right? Because they want you to go down that worn path, that safe path. But the people that are successful, this is a mindset thing. The people that are successful make that change. I'm going to go through that cornstalk. I know it's going to be hard at first, but I don't care. Because I know after I keep going down that path again and again, I'm going to make my own well-worn path. And that old path grows in, doesn't it? It becomes the hard path. That's the thing that people struggle with, is making that change. And the people that do, and that get the right coaching and get guidance from somebody who's been there, done that, right? So you're not, right? Somebody's gone through the cornfield before. They know the path. Follow them. Just follow them. It's crazy to me that they wouldn't follow somebody who's already been there, done that.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So it's all three things that you mentioned, but the way I laid it out is what I think happens to people.
Yeah. No, and I absolutely agree with you on that. It's I like to share. You mentioned, like we all were designed and programmed to fit in, and the moment you start doing things differently, that's it. Like it's like, okay, like for especially like for the people around you, your loved ones, though your friends, people that know you very well, they're like, okay, like you're doing wrong things, and I have a story about that too. So during COVID, when I just shared with my real estate property, so I sat down, I was like, I really felt that's it. Like I'm drowning here. So now, because I have all this property that was supposed to give me freedom. I mean, everything was well up until the moment that I was receiving this income. Yeah. But then I stopped receiving the income. And then I realized that, okay, the COVID is going to stay there for a while. And then since the tenants are not paying me, so that's going to stay for a while there, I still have to come up with the mortgage payments and everything. So, and lucky enough, I was introduced to Grant, and this is how, by the way, me and Ken met at Grant Cardone. And then I started watching all his videos and learning about the multifamily and about like the things that he was just talking about, like how we were designed to fit in. And so for myself, I made this decision. So I realized that it was a hard decision, but I realized that I have to sell everything. I moved here to Miami. But the reason I'm sharing is that when I actually started sharing this with everyone, well, the first thing is with my family, my husband, my daughter, my mom, my friends, everyone's like, what are you doing? You build up the life. And here's the key. I love that how they were saying, you build up this life, such a beautiful and amazing life. And now you're destroying all of that. You're doing your own thing. What are you doing? And, back then, obviously, like deep down inside of me, I was very fearful because, again, especially like everyone is telling me this. And we were programmed to fit in and to do the same things. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe they are right because I'm doing something against everyone else right now. But I can happily say that it's been exactly 5 years. I absolutely love where I am. Like my husband, we even got to the point of the divorce because like that's how intense it was. I was selling the house. I'm moving in. If you're not coming with me, then you're staying. I am moving. I don't care. I mean, luckily he listened to me, but it was very challenging. So I'm on that other side right now. And I love my life. He loves my life. Now all my friends, they see like how it actually worked out. So, and I do agree with what you mentioned because like once we start doing things against what everyone else is doing and what they were taught to do, so then everyone thinks that's not normal. But this is, I think, this is where it all starts.
So 100% agree. Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah. So now let me ask you this. So I just shared what I went, all the fears. So share with me like what fears you actually experienced back then. It's been a while. You said what, 28 years ago? How long it's been that?
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, almost 30 years ago. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure you went through certain fears too. So would you share with our viewers?
Yeah.
I think like that's how I think this is how we learn through other people's stories.
You're not wrong. My biggest fear back then was failing and failing in front of other people. The thought, so I remember standing in my kitchen. I was about to close on that first deal. And back then, you signed personally on all the loans, right? It was a $460,000 mortgage. Trust me, you remember every detail on these deals.
Yeah.
I signed personally on a $460,000 mortgage. And I knew that if I screwed it up, we would lose our house. Everybody would know that Ken failed. And that was really scary. Right? The fear of failure was so scary that I tell this story all the time. Stress does some really crazy things to you, right? There's only one time in my life that stress affected me to the point where I felt like I had a golf ball in my throat. I literally had trouble swallowing. I was that stressed out. It was that time. It was that stressful. And that's why I know most of what people, they'll get to some point and they'll tap out when they're trying to make this change. Man, you went through some crazy times, you just said. So did I. And here's the thing. Most successful people had some story that is some similarity. It was something that they pushed through anyway. I did push through. And the other thing I did early on was I kept it quiet. Only a few people knew what I was doing, because I didn't want everyone to see me fail if I failed. I mean, this is real. I mean, you don't want to nobody wants to be humiliated, right? Nobody wants to be, you're an idiot. I told you that was a stupid idea. You know the criticism you would get. And it was terrible. Well, 3 years later, when I sold that property, right? My borrowed investment at the time initially was 35,000. I got back 100,000. I was like, oh my gosh, I just did it, right? When I sold all three of those, I made $500,000. Well, now it was okay to open up, come out, tell the world, look what I just did. You see, because now I had done it, right? And now I could tell the story safely because it had a good ending. I'm just telling you, that was my biggest fear, that fear of failing. It is real. I know a lot of people listening probably have that same fear, and it's fair. I mean, it's real, and it is stressful, and you just got to push through it. Now, fast forward a whole lot of years and a whole lot of problems later, that's why I no longer think that there's ever a mountain in front of me that I can't climb. I just never think that. I just don't, because what happens is after a while, you get through this event and then that event and, 9/11, then COVID, then high interest. I mean, every day is just another problem. And what you realize is it's just another problem. I just got to solve it. Like, don't freak out. It's not going to stop you. It's not going to you'll get through it, right? You'll get through it. And that's the big lesson here if you push through it. So that's my story. That's what stressed me out the most in the beginning, and what I don't know that it ever stopped me, but it sure could have had the potential to stop me.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I love that. So we all go through the same emotions, and and for me, I think it was the same thing. It's just because my fear was that what if I'm doing wrong? Because now that everyone is telling me that I'm doing all of this wrong, obviously you don't want to fail, because then exactly you don't want to be humiliated, and the last thing that you want to hear from others saying, "I told you so." So for those that are listening, if you do experience fear, and and I think like you can agree with me, like deep down inside of us, we do have like that gut feeling that whatever we're doing, that we have to be doing in a different way, but we just scared to take these first steps, because again, we don't want to be humiliated. So I think for those that are listening to us, if you do have that gut feeling that yes, you need to do different things in a different way, not just go with the flow where everyone else is going, and you are afraid that you're going to make the wrong decision, then we all go through the same things. I just shared with you that I went through this. Ken just shared that he went through this. So it's normal to experience that feeling. But I always, I love to say, I think I read it from Mark Twain. It's he was saying 20 years from now, I would rather be disappointed versus regretful. And when I read this, I was like, okay, you know what? I like that. So all right, if I have that gut feeling, I'm gonna go with that. I would rather be disappointed that it was not what I thought it would be, versus being regretful. So let me ask you this. So those that are listening to us, and I hear this very often, that they want to start, they want to invest, but they thinking, okay, multifamily, like you need to have millions and millions of dollars. Like if someone wants to start, like how do they do? How much do they need? Like if you can just tell us a little bit more about this.
Yeah. So money is the problem that most people face. I mentioned that earlier when you sit in my chair. In the beginning, I didn't have any money. So now what is it? It's just a problem that is solvable. So in my first deal, I borrowed my down payment on my home equity line. Now, I'm not telling anybody to lever themselves up, right? It's not my job to tell somebody to do that. I'm telling you what I did. I had no money.
Yeah, be careful. Yes, before you do anything.
That's right. So all I'm doing is telling you what I did. And so I had a problem to solve, and I needed at the time $70,000. So I borrowed 35 on my home equity line and put that in. I got my in-laws to put in the other 35,000, and we became partners. That's how I saw, and I asked the seller to take back a note for 10%. Deal number 2, I was able to finance it differently, so I didn't need any money, right? Again, a problem solved. Deal number 3, I actually got a check back at close, and the property was $800,000, something like that, right? Each one of these times, it was a problem that I had to solve. Now, then I'm just taking you through the process of me solving this problem over and over and over, right? Even though I made $500,000 when I sold them, I mean, that money goes fast. You just spend it especially when you've never had it. You spend it quite quickly, okay? So now I said, all right, I want to grow. Now, what I didn't tell you was in the beginning when I was trying to figure out this business, there's a problem. How do I learn this business? Well, there was no KRI partners around to teach me. There's no podcast like yours. None of this stuff existed. So I went to apartment association meetings. Yes, I said that out loud. The most boring thing you could ever do. But what I did was, because I wanted to learn, there was somebody speaking at the front of the room. Each week there would be a different topic. And I said to myself, whoever is behind that podium is behind that podium for a reason, because they know, and I need to know them. I must go there and I must develop a relationship with each one of those people. Well, I was most successful in developing a relationship with this gentleman named Gary. He came and he spoke about evictions, right? He was an eviction attorney. What is the process? What, all that stuff. And so I developed a relationship with him. Remember, now I didn't have much money. He owned 1,000 units and had a whole lot more money than I did. And after several lunch meetings and, just getting to know each other, I said, Gary, I'd love to do something with you. He said, yeah, me too. I think we should work together. I said, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I said, but Gary, I don't have any money. He's like, that's okay. Now here's the key. Most people, so what do you need to do? You need to find that person with experience, with money to help you. So here's the key. Most people say to themselves, well, I want to make sure I get paid. I want to make sure I make money on this. I want to make sure that I. And that is the biggest mistake that every person makes. So I said to Gary, I don't have a lot of money because, listen, you put in a little, Ken. I'm not going to let you get away with nothing. You do all the work, and we'll split the profits 50-50. Now, remember, that meant, how did it solve Gary's problem? He didn't have to do any work. Yes. That's what he wanted. He had experience, and he had a name. I was willing to do all the work. He had what I didn't have, and that was money and a balance sheet and experience. So I said, all right, Gary, this is so incredibly kind of you. We made millions of dollars together. He solved my money problem. Right? That we bought 5 deals together. I think we put in like $10,000 each. 5 deals together from one guy, $10,000 each. Why? Because he had relationships that I didn't have. So It's a little saying around our ecosystem. You have to find your Gary. See, I solved that problem. Gary allowed me to get deals and do deals there is no way I could have done before. And I left it up to him to decide how our relationship should be handled. Most people don't do that. They try to make demands on that person. And the only thing you do is make them angry. Quite honestly, you piss them off when you do that. They're like, wait a minute. If I would have done that to Gary, I want this and I want that and I want this. He would have said, you know what? Goodbye. Because Ken, I don't need you, Ken. Ken, you need me. Like, what are you doing? Like, this doesn't even make sense. So that's how you solve this money problem. You have to go find partners who are willing to work with you because, and rich people are pretty careful, right? Rich people who are in this business, I mean, you're not the first person that probably approached them about working with them. So they're really careful. They're wealthy because they make good decisions. They know a lot about people. They know what it takes to be successful. And that's what they're looking for in the person they want to work with. And I have seen this over and over and over. That person with money wants to help the person that doesn't have the money.
Yeah.
They just know that they need what they need from you. And that is you should be willing to do the work. So if you are in that position where you don't have any money, you've got to learn the business. You got to know it cold so that other person knows that you're serious. And you got to be willing to work harder than anybody else.
Yeah.
And that they can totally depend on you. Yeah. If you do those things, you will find those. And then you got to put yourself in the room, right? Remember what I said about this. You don't want to be different. Put yourself in the room with the people that are doing it, because then if you're not doing it, you're the one that's different. And it is going to help you fight that 20, 30, 40 years of training that you've received to fit in. And it's going to kick back in and make you fit in with that group of people who are apartment owners. Does that make sense?
No, totally. Yeah, and absolutely with you on that, because that's exactly what I did. Yeah. So I love how you mentioned. Yeah. So so basically, if you see that you already the like how they saying that you're an average of the 5 people that you talk to. So if you start already seeing that the things that you're doing, everyone else around you like doing the same things, but you're not getting the result that you want. So obviously then this is the time to start changing the people around you and the community that you are in. And that's exactly what I did for myself. I love how you mentioned start putting yourself in these rooms. And that's exactly what I started doing. Is to, if you want to if you want to invest in real estate and learn everything about real estate, be around people who do this and invest. And to that point, again, there's different types of the real estates. Obviously, if you want to invest in the multifamily, then put yourself in the room with the investors that already invest in the multifamily. And so basically, for those of you, to our listeners who is listening, if you want to start investing in the real estate, if you don't have any money, so basically what Ken is saying is there's always type of people that who have money, but they're looking for someone who will do all the work. And this is what investment is all about, right? Investment, like for me, there's when I invest, I don't wanna work. I want the return on my money. So then I would be looking for someone else who will actually do all the work. And this is me and Ken. I actually invest in his projects. He does all the work. He has an amazing team which does all the work. I only get my check. I think this week I should be getting my check.
Look at you. You know exactly when it's coming. I
Yes,
love it.
I know
Yep.
exactly when it's coming. And that's, by the way, that's exactly how I got to know Ken, is because I started putting myself in these rooms. And then me and Ken, we got to know each other. So for those of you that don't have money and you want to start, so then you can actually just find those that have the money, but then you're going to do all the work. And there is a lot. And Ken, if you actually can share maybe a little bit about that as well, because I do know that you have an amazing program that teaches what needs to be done and all the work that needs to be done. There is a lot of work, and that's why we as investors, when we're investing the money, right? So like, and this is where people saying that there's no such a thing as you make the money while you sleep. Well, there is, if you just invest and you don't do all the work, but then someone else needs to do it. So,
Right.
and that would be great start for someone that doesn't have the money to actually learn, do all the work, create the capital for themselves, and then move to the other side of just being investor
That's
one
right.
day.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Yeah. So I'm not totally sure what you want me to share, but how do you get started? And
Yes.
we do it. We help people create wealth through real estate. Some people, so when you go to our website at kripartners.com, kripartners.com. So when you go there, you're going to kind of be faced with a decision. Do I want to invest passively, or do I want to learn how to do my own deals? That's the decision. What happens, most people do them both. So don't think you can only go left or right. Most people go down the path both ways. And as you have, I know. So then if you want to learn how to do what we do, I've been doing this for almost 30 years, and we're on deal number 21 right now. We've done 14 of those that have gone, we call it full cycle. That means we bought it, we operated it, we sold it, and returned money to investors. And so we've done that 14 times. So we know what the real estate cycle is, and we literally walk you through that cycle step by step by step. So you know exactly what you need to do, when you need to do it, how to do it. And what's important is that we are showing you everything we do in our business. It's basically a turnkey business, right? You just have to follow the process. And we know the process works because we've done it over and over and over and over and over again. So that's how you do it. If you're interested in having us help you, kripartners.com. There are other programs, but I think ours is the best just because we get into the weeds and into the details. That's what's important. Because what happens in our world, you want that wealthy person to be impressed by you. They know, remember, they're wealthy for a reason. Something made them wealthy. And I have yet to talk to a very successful person who has told me, this has never happened to me, I didn't worry about the details. I never cared about the details. Every single one of those successful people need to know that they know the details in their business. They know that's what made them successful. So that when they're looking at partnering with you, if you can show them that you know the details, the chances of them wanting to work with you, just goes up exponentially.
Yeah.
So it's the number one thing that I think people need to do. That's why we spend time in the weeds. We also keep you moving. We make sure that you're doing the right things so you don't get stuck being a student for the rest of your life. But if you don't know the details, you'll not find the partners you need. You will not find the investors you need. You will not find the team that you need. It'll never happen for you. So that's why we do it the way we do it.
No, and I love that. Yeah, and I love that. Listen, we don't need to figure out everything by ourselves on our own. We don't need to reinvent the wheel because it was already reinvented. The best way actually to achieve success is to find someone else who already did what you wanna achieve, and then just model them, follow their footsteps. And then how you mentioned that, and actually you mentioned before when you started, there was no educational materials like right now available, and then especially with your program that you're offering. I have a similar story too. When I started in accounting, so back then there was no Series, there was no ChatGPT, there was no Alexa, there was none of this. There was no internet. And I remember when I started in accounting, what I needed to do is I needed to go to the library, get the books, and then start learning from it. But today it's so easy. Besides all this free educational material, the podcast that we're doing right now, but then also there's wealthy people, there's investors, those that own already their funds and have proven success like you do. They offer all this training. So I think this is amazing and phenomenal. And thank you for giving back and doing that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: if someone is listening right now and wants to escape the financial matrix, what is the first step that they must take today?
Yeah, they have to go get educated. You have to go get educated, and you need to talk to somebody who is willing to take the time to understand you and your situation and what's the best path forward for you. So many people have these cookie cutter paths, right? Oh, you must do this, that. Okay, we don't do that. I think that's a bad idea, because if you've never done anything in real estate, you're going to start at a different place than somebody who has owned some single family homes and done some flipping and owned some commercial. See, everybody's going to have their own little starting point, their own little things that they need. So that's number one. You got to get good advice. Just be careful who you're getting it from, right? Get it from somebody who's legitimately interested in helping you, and then take action. Go do it. Go learn the business. Nothing is going to happen until you do. It just won't. Nobody will take you seriously. Our program almost always starts with numbers, because even single family flippers, they don't know the multifamily underwriting process. We teach them the numbers, because what happens is that's the fastest way I can improve your confidence. Because once you know the numbers, the brokers can't take advantage of you anymore, because right? You know when to say, yeah, I'll pay more, or you'll know when to pass on a deal. You'll know how much money that you hope to make. You'll know so many things. And when you talk to investors or your potential partners, they can see that you know the numbers. They can see you understand. You ever watch Shark Tank?
Yeah.
Could you imagine going in front of Mr. Wonderful
without
and not knowing your numbers?
Yeah.
He will destroy you, right? Yeah. You will be dead to him, right? Yeah. That's what will happen if you don't know. So that's why I like people to start there. But I want you to get good advice from somebody who's been there, done that. So that's what I want people to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and working with finances and accounting for 27 years, this is exactly what I tell to all my clients. It's all about the numbers. You have to know the numbers.
You do.
Yeah, you have to know the numbers. I love that. Okay, so Ken, let me ask you this. My motto in life is it's all in your hands. Mm-hmm. What does it mean to you? What's your meaning?
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up, because my wife and I always have this discussion. I believe you say your life is all in your hands. I couldn't agree more. I always tell people every single thing that happens to you is your fault. 100%, everything. So my wife and I joke around. She says, so if I'm sitting at a red light and someone rear ends me, is that my fault? Yes. Well, I'm just sitting there. Yeah, but you should have been looking in your rearview mirror and got out of the way if you saw the guy coming like 50 mile an hour, right? So you're not wrong. Your life is always in your hands 100%. Just take responsibility for it, right? Don't ever say, well, I couldn't do this because. If you have a because there, that should be a sign to you. And I don't want to be adversarial, but that is a sign that you're making an excuse. You're accepting an excuse. You're giving yourself an out. The reality of it is, it didn't happen because you didn't make it happen.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. That's it. There's no other excuse. That's it. It's because you didn't do it. Well, and then people will start, there'll be a little debate going on. The bottom line is, it is in your hands. If you tried and it didn't work, go try again, but do something different. It is always in your hands, 100%.
Yeah. That I love the saying too. You are where you are because of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like where you are today, so obviously you did certain great things, and this is why you are there. But there's certain things in your life that you're not happy about it. Again, it's because of the things that you did, and you should have probably done in a different way. So
100% agree.
it's all in our hands. It's all possible, and we definitely can. Once we make that decision, we can turn our life completely in a different way that we would like to. I love that. Well, so we're going towards the end. I want to do something fun today, if you're okay with that. I'm just gonna ask you like rapid fire questions.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
So short answer. There is no right or wrong, or just short answers.
Promise.
All right. So let's do this. Active income or passive income?
Passive.
First investment or best investment?
What was the first one?
First investment or best investment?
First investment or best?
Yeah. So the question is it the first investment or the best investment?
Yeah, it's first. We'll go with first.
Well, of course, it's really like, I think like a lot of the people, and I know I was guilty of that too, like we're always looking to be perfect, looking for the best, for better. But I think that's just what stops us is we just, instead of looking for the best, for the perfection, just take the actions as you mentioned, right?
Yeah,
so
that's
basically,
why I want first. You've got, until you get your first, you're not going to get a second. Yep.
Exactly. I love that. Yeah. All right. One book every investor must read.
Every person must read 10X Rule. You have to read that book because that makes you get through everything else.
Oh, I love that. I love this. Yes. Okay. Biggest wealth building habit?
Investing. Just keep pressing forward. Investing in more deals, in more units.
Okay. Money is
going to define your quality of life.
I love that. Real estate is the path to
financial freedom. Freedom of all types. Yep.
I love that. Real estate is the path to financial freedom. I love that.
Or any freedom. All right. I expand that beyond financial because it's freedom in general.
Yeah. I love that.
Because I get to choose every day what I do when I wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And you can do whatever it is that you want, whenever it is, when you want, with whomever you want and where you want it. So
That's right.
I love that. All right. One thing you tell your kids about money.
Invest it.
Okay. What do you wish you knew at 25?
That I could do so much more than I had done. I stopped myself. It's 100% up here. I know that now. I wish I would have understood that back then.
I love that. Okay. So now as we're going toward the ends, one word of wisdom, last thing that you would like to share with our viewers.
Yeah, the one thing I want to share is, guys, study carefully what successful people do, because the thing that they did is they stopped being like everybody else, and do whatever it takes to get the courage to do that. And I'm not being dramatic. It is really hard to make that change. If you do, or when you do, hopefully you do, everything changes for you. And you will look back on it and ask yourself, what was I thinking? Why did I not do it sooner? So that's what I want to leave this. Make the change. Make the change. You have to be willing to change in today's world. And let's make a change so that you don't have to worry tomorrow how you're going to pay your electric bill.
I love that. What is such a wonderful advice. And this is exactly why we're doing what we're doing right now. This podcast is, I think this is a great and absolutely amazing ending, and a great suggestion to our viewers, because I believe that this is when you, and as Ken mentioned, you study successful people, and I believe this is how we learning through the other people's stories, successful stories, or even what they went through to get to that success. This is how we connect, and this is how we can change our life for the better. Friends, this was a masterclass in breaking free from financial limitations and building wealth with the intention. Ken is the living proof that you don't need to be born wealthy. You just need the right vehicle. You need the courage to start. Learn, study from successful people, and remember, the only thing that is standing between you and financial freedom is the decision to step forward. Remember that financial freedom is all in your hands. Thank you for watching. And if you know someone else that would like to learn more about this and benefit from this, then please subscribe and share with them this episode. Subscribe to us and share this with someone else. And remember, financial freedom is all in your hands. Thank you.
Welcome to Escape the Matrix podcast with Ella Rivkin.